Can I ask a true crime?
Oh yeah, go ahead.
It's just like, okay, so I don't do true crime a lot, but it feels like there might be, if you could just separate it, there's crimes that are kind of solved and there are the details, and then there's crimes where you don't have all the details. Do you prefer one or the other? Is both part of it? Is one more fascinating? Because I don't know. I was thinking that it's like part of it's like the search for truth. It's like the unknown is there and can I piece it together? But there's another part that's like, oh, here's all the details and maybe I can own all these details and use that knowledge, which is kind of the opposite of like a search for truth in the void. I don't know. Does that mean anything?
Yeah, I think like in terms of the cases, like we do an episode every week, possibly misguidedly, but we're here now. And so time-wise, we've just got to keep turning them out. Everything has to be ready to go on Tuesday night. So what we really want to do is do a long-form show about one particular case, like a Dr. Death or a Happy Face or something like that, where we have the time to like properly investigate and get a lot more of the details together. But primarily what we're doing on Red Handed is storytelling. So it's just finding what we can and piecing together the story.
Right.
Yeah. How do you find them? Like what's your source for like picking your topic?
I mean, the internet.
Hell
mainly.
yeah.
And I mean, linked to that question, I really enjoy the ones where there's not all the details out there and we can piece it together and interpret it in a different way. But I think it just comes down to time.
Yeah, of course.
If we'll text each other sometimes, I'm like, I need an easy one this week. And by that, I mean, there's a whole shit ton of documentaries out there and there's all this information. I can read it, put it together. And it's like Hanna said, we're not doing an investigative podcast. We're doing a storytelling one with our opinions in there. So it's just time. But the interest is really with the ones where there's not that much out there.
Right. That's what I'm more captivated by myself. But again, I'm not a huge fan, so I was wondering. Yeah. All right. Sorry, Dan.
Do you think the guy from the staircase, do you think that dude killed her or his son killed her? What do you think about that one? What's his name? Peterson?
Peterson, yeah.
Jordan Peterson.
I
don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know either. I'm on the fence. I'm afraid I can't.
Actually, yeah, it's weird because it's like I remember there's an old Forensic Files where it's just like plain and simple, like when I can't even remember now. Yeah, I think the old Forensic Files is just like, this is a story about a guy who pushed his wife down the stairs and tried to act like he didn't, and we got him through forensics. And that was like the 90s or something. And then there was the whole documentary and I'm whipped back and forth all over the place every time that story.
I think he and his son did it. I think he and the kid helped out.
Let's do some other classics. So somebody asked in the subreddit, what about Madeleine McCann?
We get this all the time.
They just want us to talk about Madeleine McCann because she's British. Talk about her all the time. But I don't know. I feel like
Madeleine McCann was I don't know how.
Everybody knows. I'm not familiar with this one.
Yeah, please.
So Madeleine McCann was 4-year-old girl. She was British. She was on holiday with her two parents in Portugal.
Who are doctors, by the way.
Yeah, that's an important part of the story. And then they are like, having a good time. They'd like go have dinner every night in this restaurant with their friends and leave the kids in the apartment.
Unlocked door
on their own. And then they'd be like, it's just like having dinner in the garden. But it's like, it's fucking far. Like, it's not like having dinner in your garden. And then one night they so they basically do a rota of one of the people having tapas going and checking on all the kids every like 15 minutes. And they go in the room and then Madeleine's gone. But her brother and sister are asleep in the room too. And so really it's either she wandered out and she fell down a well or something, I don't know, or she was abducted or the parents killed her. And then the whole investigation was, did the parents do it or not?
Because when the mum comes out of the room, the first thing she says is, they've taken her.
I was just going to say, maybe they were involved in some kind of high-end dark art, like cult thing, and they were like, give us your favorite one.
Yeah.
Wait, Hanna, why is they've taken her? Why was that?
Well, I just think if you were, like, it kind of sounds like she was expecting something to happen. Yeah. Like, who's they?
If your kid was missing and you saw, wouldn't you just be like, she's missing?
She had, like, details that she wouldn't have known.
Yeah, right. It just seems like, but this is the classic thing of like judging someone whose kid's just been snatched.
Right.
Well, for like a sentence.
That's another question that a lot of people have. Is like, okay, so use this as an example. So this is like, why is this case like extremely like it's a magnet for everybody? The reason is because there's enough room for speculation that it's a sandbox for everybody,
It's a
right?
perfect
and
storm,
then there's this other question of, okay, so at what point are we, do we ever think about families of victims, suspects, when the stuff is still unsolved, no matter how cold the case may be? How do we deal with the karma, the thought of like, these are human beings that move on through their life. They haven't been convicted. They haven't been, and then don't they have a right to like listen to podcasts? And like, do you guys run this through in your head? Like, what if so-and-so or their family or whatever is listening?
Yeah, I do. I worry about that quite a lot.
I think we just have to be okay with the fact that we feel like most of the cases we've done, we never laugh at the victim. We're never mocking the victim. So I would hope that they wouldn't ever feel like we were.
You guys
No,
came,
but in
you guys
terms of,
came
like-
down a little
Yeah.
hard on the tandem bicycle couple in the Central Park 5 thing. It was
we
a
did.
little snobby.
Yeah, we are snobs.
Two people in love might get on a tandem bike and ride it through Central Park.
That's true. I just have never seen it in the wild.
It also destroyed our scene setting of New York in the 80s.
Yeah, it did all this work of
Yeah.
a divided city and the rich getting richer and the poor getting poorer, and then there's like,
Exactly.
my tandem bike.
Exactly.
9 o'clock
That's what
at
makes
night
those
in the
people
park.
heroes. I mean, they're like, that's why they decided they did not deserve to be questioned. Like they are. Yeah, anyway, sorry, go ahead.
Exactly. We spent the first 15 minutes of that episode talking about the AIDS epidemic, the crack epidemic, the gang wars. And, I did a lot of research into the crack epidemic and we talked about it all. And then the next paragraph was, and then it was 9:30 p.m. in Central Park 5, in Central Park, and this couple ride past on a tandem bike. Like,
I probably wrote that poorly. That was probably my fault.
They believed the pamphlets. I mean, they almost paid with their lives. So Madeline McCann, like where are you guys standing here? It sounds like you're thinking like now I feel gross because we just touched on the topic of like whatever, it feels grody to then go, what do you think? The parents did it?
Well, a lot of people do think that the parents did it until this new Netflix documentary came out, and I've heard a lot of people who were like staunch, her parents did it, who've now changed their minds. I haven't watched it yet, so I don't know.
I've been watching it, and I can't tell if the Netflix documentary is exonerating them, if it feels like that, because it's just incredibly sluggish, and they haven't gotten to the point where they start crucifying the
stop
parents.
caring.
exactly. The first episode is just, you watch the first episode, you can skip the first episode of that Madeleine McCann documentary unless you want to know lots and lots of unnecessary information about Praia del Luge in the 80s. Like, I don't know
Is
why.
it one of those things where like the parents shook the kid, killed the kid, and said, "Oh fuck, we just killed our kid. Now we gotta we gotta."
The theory
yeah.
is that they sedated her. Well, not the theory. A theory is that they sedated her. And then they go off to dinner so they can have a great time, and they come back and she's dead.
Oh, that's a thing. People do that.
Yeah.
People drug their kids. So like instead of having babysitter, they just dope them up and they go out.
That's why
Don't
Hanna
drug
said it's
people.
important that they're doctors. I
Yeah.
mean, God forbid that they're innocent, and then all of this is being said. But it's like, their occupation like draws that. You're like, what if you're doctors and you just want your kids to sleep while you go have.
Don't they
tapas?
know that that's dangerous? I mean, you're not. I don't think you're supposed to administer sedatives all the time like that.
Well, I got converted. This is the interesting thing about this to me is that the reason the way that we found the guy that I call Asperger detective.
Hell yeah, I like this
who-
guy.
Have you listened? To,
No, I love the name.
I really want you to listen to his podcast.
Is he
I'm
mean?
not saying that you're like him.
I hope so.
Like he is just such a he's so okay.
He's so what, Dan?
I want to know whether you would love him or hate him.
I'm excited.
He's a very interesting guy.
What's it called? What's the podcast?
It's such a weird, forgettable name, and it's like his. That's part of what I
He
love
should
about
call
him
it-
is
he
that
should
he's
call it
clearly
Asperger
not like a
detective.
marketing guru. He's not a person. He owns it. He's like there's.
He's not a person.
His reviews are 50% 1 star, 50% 5 star. The
Hell
1
yeah.
stars
I
are
like
like,
this.
what the fuck is this guy's problem? Like,
Yeah.
what? He's so self-congratulatory, and he's sort of like all these things, and I'm like, well, if you're gonna hate somebody for this stuff, then he's my hero. And then the other ones are like, he's so deep and thoughtful and interesting because sorry, I'm babbling, but he. the reason we found his podcast is because Rosanna, is that her name? Rosanna from the California Dreaming, who's another favorite of ours.
What?
She was asked. She just does
California Dreaming.
She just does California.
I want to punch myself in the balls.
She's great. She's great.
Hearing that.
She's great. Like
no, she's not great. It's a terrible.
Yeah, she's great. Well,
terrible
no, but some of these people aren't like fucking like they don't go to like graphic design school for their logos. They don't go to like branding school. Like they're really into true crime, and like some of the best people have the worst. Like California Dreaming, but she focuses on California, and she's really good. And
if I kill somebody, it's going to be someone that calls their podcast California Dreaming.
Interestingly,
and the thing is, I have a boat.
She's very thorough and she's very academic. And somebody asked her,
she's dead.
I knew it.
Somebody asked her, "Is there any true crime podcast?"
If she turns up dead tomorrow or missing. I did it.
You're going to jail.
It's based on a title.
Yes.
They get worse.
What?
Yeah.
No.
Like,
what's worse than California?
Well, actually, okay, they don't get worse.
I'll give you 10 minutes to come up with the worst name of true crime.
There's like one that's like all Austin true crime, and it's called like Killers and Cattle or something. I don't know. It's either like all crime, no cattle. I can't. It's like they're trying to make a Texas thing happen. Just let me finish my thought. We have guests.
No.
I'm just gonna. I just realized I'm a murderer, and I've told you all, and I'm fine doing the time.
Rosanna from California Dreaming was asked. Cody told me this that she was asked, is there a case that you changed your mind on based on an episode of another person's true crime podcast? Which I think is a really interesting question that I'd like to ask you guys. And she said, yes, Asperger detectives, she didn't call him that. This guy, his podcast is called. I mean, I'm gonna give him his due signal boost. I mean, I look, I love the guy, and same deal, buddy. I'll fly you out from Los Angeles. He lives in LA. He lives in LA. It's totally affordable.
I should get him on then.
I can't remember. It's called like Cold Case.
Crap.
It's Murder Files.
Cold Case Murder Mysteries, Cody said.
Cold Case Murder Mysteries. He's he's this guy, and he talks like this, and he never stops talking like this. Like you won't. I mean, like look, he's polarizing, but he is like. He approaches she said, yes, his treatment of the Madeleine McCann story, like it changed her mind. And when you listen to it, that's an episode I would recommend if you want to get into this guy, as his Madeleine McCann episode, because he just sort of makes it seem incredibly obvious that there was never a plan. They were on vacation. They were using micro doses of kind of sedative that they're very comfortable with as a professional couple of doctors. They were like just keeping the kids. The kids already on the trip had been actually getting up out of bed, and they crossed a threshold of let's just NyQuil them, but on a pro level, and that actually, not that they didn't OD him, because you're correct, they wouldn't do that. They would know the right amount. And what actually did happen is that the kid was high and got up still and was tooling around the place alone, and was playing on this spot where one of the dogs did go to when they were investigating. One of the corpse sniffing dogs descended on this one area of the room where the Asperger detective, I have to stop calling him that,
Cold Case Murder Mystery, man.
says that she maybe fell off the couch. I mean, she was 4, right? It's it's just, she maybe climbed up on top and fell, and it's just total freak accident. They found out about it, and then they kind of just worked out a thing where they and it's actually that version of events. I feel bad for the parents if that really happened, because they they would be their lives would be fucked. They come home to that, and it's like it's a tragedy. I'm not saying but it's just like imagine that, and it's like, oh God, what do any of us do when we're pushed to the point where a lie is equidistant from the truth in terms of like how much it fucks up your life, where you're like, I don't know what I'm made of, in if I'm ever put in a position like that. I'm not sure. I mean, we kind of like we've all been in situations where like a lie was just easier.
Did they find the child and did they do an autopsy?
No, she's missing.
No, they've never found a trace of the kid, which is in and of itself, it's just incredibly strange. I mean, how do you?
Yeah, I think that's the thing that makes it feel like it's not the parents, because if they did do it, I do think it's like you said, Dan, like it was an accident. They didn't maliciously murder her.
They got a bunch of other kids. They're not
exactly. There's no
we
reason.
hate kids. We want to live a free life.
Exactly.
It was an accident.
And they're in a foreign country. They're not from Portugal. They're on holiday there. They're in like a holiday resort. Where have they taken this 4-year-old's body? That the British police went and helped as well. So the Portuguese police and the British police are looking for Maddie, and they never found her. And the parents in a foreign country were able to dispose of this 4-year-old's body that well. That's the thing that doesn't make sense to me.
It's also just strange, the idea of like a rando that comes in a back door and takes a kid. How do they? That was one of AD's points. Was like, this is
AD stands for Asperger detective.
This is a sloppy crime. This isn't like, it's not like Spectre or like whatever the bad guy's name you can't say. It was like, I must have like this one. It wasn't like it's not an organized thing. You go in and snatch a kid. And if they did take them, they took them it's like that person doesn't then put the energy and resources into making someone vanish.
Right, exactly. And I think like snatching a kid like Madeleine McCann is incredibly high risk. Like it's the same thing with Amy Bradley, like kidnapping someone who's on a cruise ship where there's physically nowhere to go. Like what is the gain for you that is so huge that makes that worth it in such a high risk, high stakes?
What do you guys think happened to her on the cruise ship?
Amy Bradley?
Do you think she fell overboard?
I think...
Wait, give me the meat and potatoes of that.
Sorry, yeah.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Amy Bradley, American lady, I think she was in her early 20s, I think, went on a cruise with her family and she disappeared. As they were like out to sea, like round Aruba. And there's all this stuff. They get to Aruba, they can't find her. She's been missing for hours, but they're on a ship. So they're like, well, she's clearly here. We just don't know where. So they did a bit of a half-assed search. Anyway, they never found her. And there was a couple of sightings of her. This one guy, who's just the worst human being, said that he contacted her family. He said, I know where she is. She's living on a compound with this man who's got sleeve tattoos and long blonde hair. I can extract her for you. So they sent him all of this money, and it was all bullshit. It wasn't true. So he was just sitting on an island in the Caribbean off their money for months at a time. Anyway, so the leading theories are that she was sold into sex slavery. Because it's the Dutch Caribbean where she was, so obviously it has the same laws as the Netherlands for sex work, etc. And there's a picture which people think is her from years later on like one of these like sex holiday websites. Wow. But
wait, she was extracted off of this cruise ship somehow.
Maybe. That's a theory.
Yeah, or she fell overboard. But like bodies generally wash up. Like they weren't that far out to sea.
Right. It's a nightmare scenario because it's like you find out like that these cruise lines they're owned by, they're not accountable to the laws that we think they are. They're like, they purposely, even if they are American corporations, they purposely work through international law because that makes it a lot easier to abuse labor, for instance. So the guy teaching you shuffleboard can only be paid a penny if you're not an American company.
You know who this is a case for? Asperger detective.